moon hour, and I was thinking to do the full moon in Cancer. That's coming up in 7th January. We are already very close. For you, it might be 6th, it might be 8th, depending on your time zone. As you can see mine. And this is astrosig.com. The chart is from astrosig.com. And we're looking at the moon at 16 degrees Cancer opposition the Sun and Mercury, applying to trine Neptune, separating from, separating from sextile to Uranus. So this is an opposition of Mercury retrograde, and Mercury is supposed to be invisible, if depending on how you calculate invisibility. It's not like, and depending on how you count, like Cazimi that you can consider it Mercury Cazimi. Um, Full moons, and I'm going to do the 12 signs. Don't worry about it. So I did a bit of a look at the full moons. You can check my 2023 lunations. I did for the new moons. I think I did for the full moons as well. But this one is going to really break it down for the 12 ascendants. So a full moon basically is something coming to fruition, and it's like a pinnacle. Okay, you reach uh, the most luminous night, okay, in the cycle, um, and then from then on it's going to decrease. So full moon is also good for rituals of letting go of something. Up until now, you might have a bit of harvest, things coming to fruition. Also, because the moon is full, the luminary of the night is full, just the moon, full moon, is about disclosure or discovery of something that you weren't aware of relative to the location of the moon. So this is the moon in Cancer, middle phase or decan of Cancer. And it's oppositioning a retrograde Mercury. So what it brings about can be something related to Mercury going retrograde in Capricorn. It can be some news, missing items. For example, if you lost a crystal, you might find it on that night or around that night. But that's also Mercury retrograde in general. With the moon, it's definitely going to bring up um, either news or things to consider in trade agreements, contracts, paperwork, small technology matters, details in agreements, especially the agreements with Capricorn. It's the agreements you sign with an organization. Okay, it can be your taxes. Okay, maybe something has changed, or you notice something in relation to something has changed in the rules and regulation, or you're being exposed to something, maybe something that you wanted to tackle and now you get to tackle that, or something with the communication is messing. But because of the full moon, it's it can be that now it's the time that you discover something. You can discover something missing, okay? Discover something missing from your contract, discover something missing, something that you've missed, okay? Something that goes missing now you can find on the Mercury direct phase. Mercury also rules, like I said, it's contracts and it's also trade. Mercury retrograde full moon. I don't know how to do trade astrology, um, but what there can be is something about the buying and selling not working smoothly. So it doesn't necessarily have to be the stocks themselves. Um, Mercury is also writing things of the written word or words in general. Um, Mercury, Saturn, you might discover the legal meaning of words or rethink the legal, especially now as Mars is stationing to go direct. The legal meaning of words, the legal meaning of things maybe you say on social media, or uh, Mercury, Saturn. Well, Saturn is also agriculture, so small things, small crops, small plants, you might harvest them, or you might use words to grow your plants to say, oh, I want to grow, I don't know, the word abundance. Then I put it next to my plant and but it's not something you'll necessarily do right now because the full moon is usually not the time to mess with things so much. It's more about harvesting and inviting what you would like to decrease as the moon decreases. So what you would like to let go of. Um, Messages. Again, this is like a bit of a, with the Mercury, it's a bit of a Mercury retrograde on steroids, simply because but because the moon is full, it's not necessarily message that go missing or something comes wrong and exposes something. Okay, somebody says something and they expose. You send a message to the wrong person. Okay, your partner sent a message to the wrong person. You discovered your partner is cheating on you. If that's in your seventh and fourth or something, that can be something like that. Or alternatively, discovered, your partner sent a message that, or maybe your boss sent a message that they intend to promote you, but they send it to some other member of the staff, and you got the message by accident. You discover somebody wants to promote you. Okay, it can also be something like that. Um, the nature of the message is not necessarily good or bad. It's just the nature of Mercury right now is the nature of Saturn. Okay, things to do with agriculture, legislation, the skin, the teeth, the hair, the nails. So you've been trying to set a meeting with your dentist for dental care. That might be a bit difficult, and now you might discover why. For example, it could be um, that I don't know, you just wanted to do your teeth cleanse, and but then you discover something or some habit that you were doing that affects your teeth, and now it changes on the date, on the person, the type of doctor that you want to see. Or maybe you're thinking just to do your, to go to a cosmetician or whatnot, and it went off with something, and then you discover that, I don't know, there's some claims that that person was not hygienic or something like that. So it can be something like that. Mercury also rules children. And here we especially need to be cautious because children ruled by Mercury in the light of the sun can be invisible. So I'm not sure if it is invisible in the sky or not. Would have to look at the sky um, to observe that, and that depends. But Mercury leaving the light of the sun um, or stealing the light of the sun is received when Mercury was 1 degree. Oh, it's applying to go retrograde, so it's not. It's going to meet the light of the sun again, and so Mercury is in a dark hour, so children may communicate in a different way, or you might discover something about the child. Not very likely for like excess danger for children to go missing still, because that would be the Pluto or a hard aspect to Neptune. But you could find missing children. You could discover the fate of missing children. Might be exposed to you at that time. But with the invisibility, whatever is governed by Mercury is not when it's invisible, it's not receiving the beams of the sun in a way that is visible to the earth. Okay, it's just like when I talked about Venus in the light of the sun or Venus invisible. I talked about what happens when Venus consults with the sun and they have, a meeting, but all the Venusian things on Earth are not currently being tended to. Okay, because they're being tended to in another sphere, but on the mundane level, it's more difficult to apply to Venus, to work with Venus, and so on and so forth. With Mercury, it is the same. If you're trying to write an important message at this time, to communicate something important, it is less so. And the nature of what I expect to happen there is something significant in its missing or in its invisibility. You notice that you haven't seen someone in a while, or somebody's invisibility is noticeable. Okay, mercurial, in a mercurial way. Or where is that note that I need to for that? Oh, I haven't seen it. Okay, or even I can give like something, even like a personal example. It's time to do the taxes, and time to do it from my smartphone because my computer is broken. I know Mercury retrograde is not the time to fix the computer. Okay, so it can be something like that. Okay, what happens in this case? So who do I call? What do I do? Okay, or it can be, where is this paper that I needed for the blah blah blah, or you notice that something that some paperwork is missing, or if you've been trying to apply somewhere, you either find, you might even find what is missing. And this is important. You don't know what is missing, you don't know what is missing. On this full moon, you might find what is missing. Oh, so what is missing for me to finally sign that contract? Also, for what is missing for me to finally, set it straight with my taxes or with my bills, because it's Saturn related. Or why doesn't my sweet potato grows? Okay, you find out, oh, what is missing? What's the missing? Mercury's detail. So what's the missing detail? But then to apply it will take a little longer because Mercury is in the light of the sun. It's receiving an update. For example, I recently discovered that if I have to do my teeth work, I have to pay in a certain way for the insurance. I have to pay. It's not enough to pay my insurance. I have to pay my insurance in a certain way, so that you gave them an obligation for the bank in order to apply for an appointment. And I'm like, oh, but this is so crazy. And I was twice at the dentist and everything was okay. So I was like, okay, what's going on? So you might have to deal with that, or maybe people can and said, well, it's not reasonable that I pay my insurance every month, and when I need a session, it's like, you pay your insurance, it's okay, but you have to pay in a particular way to do so and so. So there's a legal problem here because you pay for a service and they should not limit you on the way you pay for the service to receive the service. Here there's a legal problem. And then there's the question, because teeth are Saturn, should I do my teeth or should I do something legal about it? Should I sue them for behaving in this way? Of course not during Saturn retrograde, but this is a question, okay? There is a question of how to tackle things. When Mercury is with Saturn, think about time, think about the implications, think about karma, and also think about the Saturn people. Who are the people who, Saturn people are considered, for example, elderly people. Okay, people who, okay, so how do elderly people deal with that? Okay. Or people who are not, for example, orphan children, Saturn's children, or people who are marginalized in some way, or dealing with the difficulties of authorities not necessarily being in their favor. So you have to think about it also in how you resolve the problem on the mercurial level. Like I said, also when Venus was in Capricorn, we were thinking about prenuptials, about laws of concerning marriage, and with Mercury, how do these laws affect children? Okay, so that's on a general level. Full moon when the moon is in Cancer, well, it's supposed to be a happy moon. I don't know, maybe when the moon in Cancer it finally gets to Cancer, then it will be. It's not supposed to be a seriously problematic moon. Yes, there's the opposition to Mercury retrograde, um, that is an applying opposition to a Mercury retrograde. So it can be like an inconvenience that was necessary to resolve something. And there can be because of the polarity, it can be an emotional inconvenience with detail. So this is the time to actually do your self-care around how you feel about those paperworks you have to do for your business, for your taxes, for your bills, for the bank, what type of banking system you want, okay? How do you go about not letting emotions get the best of you, but as well um, tackling something when it needs to be tackled, okay? Um, it's a self-care process that you have to do around whatever Mercury might bring or the news of the absence of what Mercury brings. Okay. For example, hey, I don't have, so and so. How is my credit score? Have a good credit score. Hey, do I have an ability to have a good credit score, for example, while maintaining good business? Can I pay my rent with my credit card, for example? Okay, can I pay my rent with my credit cards and not with checks? Um, or, um, or in an application, okay? Can I pay my property tax with a credit card if you have a property? Can I pay my property tax with a credit card and not with cash? Is there a loan that I can take for money that I already have and can return it so that I can improve upon my credit score? Okay, those are the things that you might be planning, you might be thinking, you might be dealing with. Okay, can I buy a house in cash? Can I buy a land in cash? Okay, one missing thing from this equation, missing variable from this equation is A, going to be visible in its absence, and B, something about it's going to change. Okay, because Mercury is going to go into the light of the sun as the moon is growing, as the moon is decreasing. So think about some relief in taxes, relief in rules that regulate children. Relief is because it's decreasing. Okay, some rule is going to be relieved. Relief in debt. Okay, this is a good time to manifest letting go of debt. But then what type of debt? There is good debt, there is bad debt. For your credit score, you need debt. You need good debt to buy a house, okay, to take a mortgage, to have the mortgage to be viable to you. Or how do I look? How do I think about debt? That can be something. So relief in debt, rules and regulations. Okay, something that's about to be relieved. For example, if places that well, they can, because I don't know about that though. I don't know if it's relief in certain limitations on agriculture. So maybe you've been planning to do something with agriculture and you find out maybe you've been trying to find a trick to do something, maybe to have water. For example, some cannot have free. It's illegal to store water from like rainwater and use them, or strain them and use them for your plants or for your lawn or whatnot. So maybe some rules are going to be relieved around that because now there's actual water crisis coming up with Saturn in Pisces. So it can be something like that, but I don't expect that necessarily to be. It can be around agriculture, agreements around that, or agreements around growing things, some things being relieved, something's missing in its absence, but then you might be able to go without it. That's on a general level. Moon in Cancer, again, big self-care time, but not self-care, the self-care that use nourishment, self-nourishment. Okay, not the self-care that you do, like I said, okay, you have to do some self-care to deal with so and so. But also Moon in Cancer in general, okay, you're gonna enjoy 2.5 days of the moon being in a sign where you can care for your nourishment, or you're being nourished. You might be, depending on the house, might be invited to a dinner, okay, or be cooking some great food, or you might be asked on a date and there's going to be like good food around. You might be more intuitive. Maybe you like to take salt baths. So that can, and Saturn's minerals, so that can be a great time for that. Maybe you like to paint and you're going to have like a couple of hours that you just have a block, a creative block, not a creative block, it's a block of time that you do your creativity in. And that's how I deal with the Mercury retrograde. So that's on a general level. Now let's go to the ascendant. I think I spoke enough about what's it going to be. So ascendant, oh, well, the moon is sextiling Uranus. Again, it's a sextile. It's separating from that sextile, while the sun is separating from the trine with Uranus, Uranus retrograde. Uranus retrograde, so we've been reflective upon revolutions, which is a very important reflection because it's going to play a big deal when Pluto is going to enter Aquarius and Uranus is going to move direct. So with Uranus retrograde, we're reflecting upon rebellion. We're rethinking how to rebel, or we are trying certain things, and we understand rebellion, we understand the chaos, so we can have these experiences. We understand the chaos, the rebellion. It's the sextile, so and again with the retrograde motion, so yes, you could say there is more rebellious streaks, but there is also a reflection upon what is a revolution. What is that chaos state? What is a storm? Okay. Moon sextile or full moon sextile Uranus, we are thinking about the role of, the roles of the rebels and the roles of the governors, because rebels become governors and then they're rebelled against and so on and so forth. On a more personal level, Uranus and Taurus, you might have a hobby, you might create something or record certain music that is special, unique, rebellious. The joy of Uranus and Taurus, basically. This is the joy of Uranus and Taurus, okay? You might harvest the land that you planted crops on. Maybe you planted your crop in some unusual way. And then now you're seeing the harvest of that and you're happy. So yes, ascendants. So let's go with here. First ascendant, let's do it Scorpio. So for Scorpios, the sun is going to be in your second house in your third house, and the moon is in your ninth house. That can bring up, well, the revelations of the moon can be either around your worldview, okay, you're exposed to something, or something is exposed that changes your point of view. You have a more full view of even what is missing in your life, or in your neighborhood, or with your siblings. If you're a blogger, a vlogger, you may have more understanding of what changes need to be, but you can't still apply these changes. So it's not yet the time to record your vlog or whatnot about it. Flights and travel. Now, because of the Mercury retrograde, you need to understand, if Mercury is retrograde in a Saturn ruled sign, okay, Mars is stationed in direct in Gemini. If you already work with magical things, for example, you can take if you have to fly, you can take a crystal on your flight. And if you're concerned, for example, about ailments, then not necessarily COVID, but just anything, because the moon is about to be decreasing. So this is the good time to do stuff like vinegar. Okay, a thief's vinegar. Okay, with some cloves, with some chili peppers, some garlic, and you can prepare it and you can take that with you. So having the thieves vinegar, that's more like the herbs element, and having a crystal with you on the flight, and maybe asking that crystal. Saturn likes, you can have a crystal that combine maybe a blue crystal for Mercury retrograde season, and a black crystal for protection, and you can ask these for protection. You can ask them, to protect you on your flight, and to have a good flight, and for things to go smoothly as possible, or for things to go in your favor. So even if things do not go smoothly, so that will be in your favor. And yeah, it's less the time to write your vlog of the day, but it is a time to record your thoughts. So do record your thoughts. For clarity of mind, you can take a salt bath. That is a great time to both pamper yourself and get your needed minerals in the body. What else is there? Siblings. Well, there can be a bit of miscommunication with the sibling, but you can also understand, through the miscommunication, you can discover something. Okay, and that can be around the sibling, around the neighbor, or something is going on with the neighbor. Okay, why haven't I seen my neighbor in a while? You could get, that. So, ascendant Sagittarius. This is happening in your second and eighth house, with the moon being in your eighth house. For you, the moon is showing up big in things related to either the type of things that you energetically feel, but you're shoving aside. Okay, it's joint energies. So eighth house is another house of energy, and psychic work. So full moon work, or you might learn about full moon rituals. That's a good time. You might discover something, or you may run into a video or a witchy video that shows you, I don't know, how to write petitions. Maybe you've been trying to do magic, but you didn't write petitions. So, for example, something missing to do with Mercury, then, this is how you write petitions, but you can't apply it yet, and so on and so forth. Because Mercury is like eighth house is not just traumas and taxes. It can also be witchcraft in the good sense of the word. And Saturn also rules witchcraft. Apparently, I didn't know that. You can watch my episode that I did reading Chris Warnock's Horary Astrology for Curses, which was a really funny video where I found out that I probably was cursed, and of course I took that seriously and invested tremendously in removing that or in tackling that. But yeah, I was not expected to to discover that. I was like, hey, let's do it. Let's learn a new topic together. So, and again, the eighth house can absolutely be the usual. Okay, you discover something new, or what is missing in your taxes, in your paperwork, or surrounding your debt. Where did that debt go to? Okay, oh, I wasn't I in debt? Why don't I see any news about this debt? Okay, maybe there's something in your mailing system. Um, Eighth house, if you're an investor, okay, why didn't I get a report about these investments? Oh, so and so happened, or that wasn't on the news. Okay, that wasn't on the news. Um, or alternatively, there's a missing skill. You discover you have a missing skill, or a missing skill regarding your investments, or a missing skill that you can use your investment money, or you can invest while you're learning the skill, or invest in learning the skill, because the second house is also skills. Um, and eighth house is the sixth from the second. Okay, so seventh from the second. Yes, seventh from the second. So, hey, um, so the partner with whom you have the business partners. Okay, so the wealth you have with another partner, it can be the seventh house partner. Okay, your a man, a woman, like the person you're married to or in relation with, or a business partner, and then something you discover something around that. And that something had to do with some missing document, um, or, or maybe you find that you do, oh, we missed this document, but then, Mercury is going to apply to the beams of the sun. You're not going to need it anymore. Or, hey, I don't have this and that for credit score, but hey, I've been using money in that responsible way, and this is what happened. So you might be relieved, might be rules changing relative to that. Uranus is in your sixth house. You might be reflecting about a strike. Okay. So those, and how, like, for example, what am I missing to say? There's a term called FU money. I think I heard it from a girl, a YouTuber called Rich BFF. She said, what is FU money? Okay, what is FU money, and do I have an FU money? What am I missing to have FU money so that I can say goodbye to my job? Or maybe they will fire me, so that I can say FU when they fire me. And so and so. But sixth house can also be pets. Okay, so you might really discover that, oh, you thought your partner took your dog to the vet for the yearly vaccine, but they didn't, and now you discover that, and you're like, oh, we got a fine for that. Like, why did we get a fine? Didn't you take, like, oh, I forgot. Okay, that happens. Now we got to do that. So that can be something as simple as that. Ascendant Capricorn. Moon is in your seventh house, so your discovery is about your relationship with a significant other. Relationship with significant other, or relationships, and if you're not in a relationship or in a business partnership, yes, it can be the neighbor in front of you, any person that you consider. Well, there is a term called Gegenüber in German that means basically the person that you look, that is in front of you, that you speak to the Gegenüber, you speak to the person in front of you. Anyone that you might speak in that way, that you're sitting in front of them and looking at them straight, you might have an occurrence or a small occurrence with that, or a discovery about relationships, or something to do with that. Um, Mercury retrogrades in your first house. Well, Mercury rules your sixth house and your ninth house. So, sixth house, ninth house, maybe that thing that you discover has to do or is in the context of something related to work or something related to a worldview. Perhaps you're rethinking your worldview about relationships. Okay, that can also be rethinking your worldview about relationships. Okay, you discover something and you have to adjust your perception. Also about your body, perhaps your relationship with your body. It can be simply because there's a Mercury, the ruling the ninth, ruling the sixth. So health, how do I keep my health? How is my attitude, and is it compatible with the type of relationship that I want to have? This could be a question or a revelation that you're a bit of discomfort discover about yourself. But when you set the definition, when you set the change, what needs to change, then you can finally be on the look or meeting, not just yet, but perhaps improving your relationships or having a lot healthier relationship simply because the part in your relationship that is you, you've changed. Okay, so that sets the step for a better, you've put your best foot forward, then the chances for being like, if somebody is okay, then you will get along with them. At least you will not diss out the good people. um, so yes, ascendant. Oh, and Uranus. So Uranus is in your fifth house. Um, so yeah, you could turn to a hobby, turn to maybe something to do with children. Maybe you and your partner are rethinking something about the children, or the children are being rebellious, but now you got the way like how to deal with them, um, or the way that you're tackling your children can have a revelation about you. Ascendant Aquarius. Aquarius, this is happening in your sixth house. The moon is in your sixth house, Mercury retrograde, Pluto, and the sun are in your 12th house. So, first of all, you might be very soon out of Pluto in your 12th house. So, the good news, Pluto is about to leave your 12th house. The good news, Mercury is about to enter your first house. So is that the good news? Okay, I don't know. But you're going to be done with Pluto in the 12th house, and in March begin Pluto in the first house for the next 20 years. So this is the context, and the Sun and Mercury are ruled by this context. Okay, they're ruled by Saturn, which you now have in your first house. So Saturn, think about Saturn in your first house being an introduction to the kind, like you're doing what you can right now regarding your body, regarding your health, regarding your life path that you set in stone, and then Pluto's gonna go. Okay, but for the full moon, you might be finding even what it is regarding to information or agreements or even children. Okay, maybe you say you have a thought about children, second thought, because it's the 12th house, maybe you want to have children, but you didn't think about it. Okay, the moon is in your sixth, that is health, well-being, also job, also pets, and Taurus is in your, and the Uranus is in your fourth house. Okay, you could perhaps be now rethinking maybe your health. Maybe you're trying to fix your health so that you could have children. That might be the truth for some of you. Or maybe you thought you didn't want children and now you discover that you do want them, but within certain conditions. Because again, the fourth house, something changes in the fourth house. Mercury is children, and the moon is caregiving. So, am I healthy enough to be a caregiver in my house? Or how do maybe you need to reconstruct your home, or because of something that you're dealing with? Okay, that can also be the case. Okay, so maybe you cannot live with stairs. Now you have to reconstruct the home because you're not able to walk a lot or something like that. Um, Moon has to do with our fluids in the body, the womb for people who have a womb. So again, like you could be getting pregnant or discovering you're pregnant, or discovering that you want a child. It can be this can be a range of experiences. Okay. Here, because the 12th is the 12th. It's about things that go missing, the things that go, the house of bad spirits, also house of secret pleasures, and so on. Um, so think about your health, think about your job, think about something, what affects your mental health, okay? And with Saturn, what's visible is the ruler of your 12th right now in your first. So your body is receiving information from the 12th house that it needs to absorb. And the time it takes to absorb is usually the time that you do need to rest, and so you might have an ailment. Okay, that can signify that you are now dealing with a health issue, simply because the body has to absorb certain information, and that condition might have to design your house differently to accommodate for the way you are now. Okay. Sun being in your 12th, that means you might deal now with fatigue, okay, the vitality. And so if you're dealing with fatigue, it can be simple things, okay? Maybe you have to compromise the way your house is being arranged, or arrange it in an unusual way. Okay, maybe you have to have the bathroom closer to bed, or maybe you have to have, um, uh, maybe you can't stand a lot, so you have to have if you're making something cooking or something like that, so you have to have that lower so you can sit and cook and so on, for the time being. But now you understand, you discover something. It can be even discovery of a diagnosis, a missing diagnosis, or you discover that there is a diagnosis missing in regards to your physical health, and that can be something that is mental. Maybe it's something related to trauma. On a more spiritual level, your body needs to absorb certain information from the 12th house. Okay? Especially so because Pluto's been traveling there, and now Pluto is going to reach your first house. So it's going to affect not only your body, your physical body, but also your life path. You have a role to play. You ascendant Aquarius, you have a role to play that requires certain information, certain understanding. Okay, and this role can very well be political. In what way? It's what your ascendant has been picked in the depending on where your ascendant will be. Okay, you might be getting the 20 years preparation, or maybe your ascendant is earlier in Aquarius, and then you're a part of the revolution, and right now your body is reassessing that. So that's why we are Sun in the 12th house. We usually more tired, have more dreams before our birthdays. Um, so now all of these things are general. The full moon itself can be around the full moon. You discover that there's a misdiagnosis, or you discover that there's a missing note that you need for your job that you didn't know about. Um, um, yeah, there's some, but because it is the 12th, okay, that there can be even enmity that you deal with. Here's some enmity that you deal with. some witchcraft that affects your body. Okay, some witchcraft, so you can tackle that with witchcraft. Okay, you can tackle that. But you will discover what you need to do. You might not be able to apply it just yet. Ascendant Pisces. For you, this thing is happening with the moon in your fifth house and the sun and Mercury and Pluto in your 11th house. So, some of you Pisces ascendant are considering a new creative project or finding the fruition, okay, the fruition of a certain creative project that you've been doing. That creative project might be something that um, well, with Uranus in your third, this might be something that you've been tending every day to, but in an unusual way. Okay, so you've been creative, and now you're harvesting. With Uranus in Taurus, maybe if you have designed a car, you might find out what is missing. Why is my solar car not working? Okay, that can be. Why is my solar car not working? Um, for example, I am Pisces ascendant. I have above my house the solar panel for the water for the water boiler, and I just find out we have 4 residents and we have 3 solar heaters. So that means I heat water for probably. It has happened to me that I pressed the heat for the water and the neighbor got it. Not that they're trying to trick me. It's just that's the way that's probably going on. So you might discover something like that. Um, and for me, Mars is retrograde in the fourth house with Mercury retrograde in Capricorn. So I was just walking, looking at the solar panels, and it's like, oh, there's 3 of them. We're 4. So it can be something as simple as that. It can be, why is my solar card that I'm designing not working? Very niche crowd, but that can be you. Um, uh, with Uranus in your third, so some neighbor, um, yeah, like some neighbor is acting weird or something like that, but in a way that is harmonic with, like, they're doing something weird in a way that is harmonic with your goals and dreams and with your future children. Okay, my neighbor can definitely say that about me because I've started growing things. So that's lovely for children, and they're pregnant, so it's lovely for children. Nobody did that. Like there was some land that nobody touched, and I was like, okay, let's plant some stuff there. Um, and also I saw that they were trying to do stuff, but they didn't do because the ground, because this, because that, and I was like, okay, let's try to do that. Um, so yeah, so like we might discover together what needs to be for the crops, and that could be a creative project, and that could be good for the children. For you, it can be also discovering if you've been trying to have children and you don't know like what's not working. You might be finding out the missing piece. um, Maybe you've been adjusting your work-life balance because 11th house, the things I do, conferences, colleagues, goals and dreams, acquaintance and associates, and the 5th house. So maybe you've been putting a lot in your, with Pluto, you've definitely been putting a lot in your 11th house, and you do need to tend to your 5th house more. Anything more about the 5th? Um, you might have, if you're gambling in some way, then you may have discover like something was missing in the agreement, or why, like there was something more to why you're not winning. Maybe you've been doing statistics with Saturn and Mercury. You might have been doing statistics and say, well, this is how I gamble, but then you discover something's not working. um, or certain rules and regulations around the taxes or something like that. If that's the case, Anything more of the fifth. So we said creative projects, gambling, children, getting pregnant, fertility. I think, yeah, I think we touched on that, and it relates somehow to your vicinity, to your neighbors, to your siblings. Of course, if you're discovering well, that you might need help getting pregnant, then that can involve some siblings or people coming with you to sit to here to there or whatnot. Um, you may need the assistance of them. But they're assisting because some neighbor is assisting in an unusual way. In this case, with this new moon, some neighbor is assisting you in an unusual way, or in discovering what's missing, or in working or reflecting, or even thinking with you, what is not working, or what are we missing here, or could we add something here, um, relating to your creative project. Um, yes, and it can be some hobby that you do. Okay, so some hobby that you do, but you need so and so to do so. You can think of a hobby that you do that you need documents for. I don't know, maybe you like to play something and then you need to know where can you do that, or you want to light a bonfire and you need to cook food, or do that, I don't know, with the children or with the siblings or with the neighbors, and then, oh, but you cannot light it here. Where can I light the bonfire? Where can I not light the bonfire? And you discovered this creative, just start sparking this creative project, you get a discovery about some rules and regulations that are to do with society at large, okay, 11th house. Okay, maybe you discover that in your house you cannot light a bonfire in your yard unless so and so and so and so and so, and that is about to be changed. But this already concerns not just your neighbors. You and your neighbors may be trying to do that, but it concerns like society at large. But maybe there are a lot of people who have been trying to light bonfires because of electricity bills and so on and so forth, or electricity problems and so on and so forth. So, ascendant Aries. Ascendant Aries, this is happening in your 4th and 10th house, with the moon in your 4th. Uranus is in your 2nd. So, it can be like when you're in your house and you're thinking about your job. You're like, having dinner with the family, you're having a family dinner. No holiday, like I think there are no holidays. Like we're done with the holiday season, right? Am I missing something? Is there any religion that has a holiday? Um, so you're having a dinner with your family. And while you're having a dinner with your family, I don't know, your um, uncle or I don't know, daughter-in-law, or I don't know, somebody says something that concerns your work as well, that concerns you as well. Here, somebody said, "Oh, I forgot that there is, for example, a document that you have to declare of whatever wealth that you have. You do it every couple of years. Like, oh, I didn't get that declaration, which by the way I didn't either. I didn't get that declaration that I need for the taxes. Oh, now I think about it, and now oh, you also understand that you also didn't get it, and I'm like, okay, so that's something I need to do, and maybe you help them through the internet. You can look, you can fill it up in the internet. It's no problem. Here, do that. It is like don't do that in the internet without content, but it could be something as simple as that. But it happens when you're around your house with your family, or you discover something to do with work, with your career, or with the mother, or with your boss. Okay, maybe your boss forgot something, or there's some missing correspondence, or you receive an email when you're at home. This can very much be the case. And your email may say, "Oh, we have missing people. Blah, blah, blah. Could you write that so and so?" And you say, well, if if you're smart, you're gonna say, well, yes, but it's going to have to be redone. I'm gonna really have to take my time here, especially because it's a Mercury retrograde. Um, Ascendant. Yeah, we talked about Aries. Do I want to talk about the trine to Neptune? Do I need to talk about the trine to Neptune? Well, that depends on the house, because for Ascendant Aries, Neptune is in your 12th house, so you could have like a creative inspiration. It's not something terrible. But it definitely will be trining Neptune. Okay, right now the moon squares Neptune. Oh, right. If when the moon squares Neptune, you can feel a deep longing for something unexplainable, or something missing. But with the moon trining Neptune, you can be enchanted by something. So, with that in your 12th house, you might receive some good channeling or, um, yeah. Ascendant Taurus. So this full moon is happening in your 3rd and 9th house, with the moon in your 3rd. So you'll be either spending time with siblings or spending time doing your daily routines, or you're gonna find yourself doing self-care because, let's say, I don't know, you applied for a visa, but that you forgot to bring that document. And you're like, well, I won't be able to bring it tomorrow because, let's say, I don't know, tomorrow is, what day is it? Depending on, like, I don't know, let's say tomorrow is Sunday for you. It's like, oh, tomorrow this is Sunday. I won't be able to go to the embassy. I won't be able to speak with anyone. Okay, now I'm just frustrated. I'll just take a bath. It can be as simple as that. But at least you find out what's missing because you haven't heard for these guys. Or you're having to redo something and now it's like, oh, that was missing. And it can happen to you. Or you could be sitting in the bathtub, okay, 3rd house. You'd be sitting in the bathtub and thinking about, oh, now I get it. Oh, I didn't file that thing. Oh, maybe for university, higher learning. Oh, I forgot. Oh, that is something. Oh, that I need. Okay, I need to do that and that and that and that. All the while you're sitting in the bathroom with your, ducks and whatnot, your plastic ducks and whatnot. Um, so that little revelation, but that revelation is important because that could be something that could make or break your application, your study application, or maybe something to do with traveling abroad. Um, or some missing information that you need to decide or to have a certain worldview. But the full moon is in your 3rd, so you can also discover something about your immediate environment or about your daytime routine. Okay, maybe you discover that the way you've been doing your morning ritual is not necessarily, or maybe you decide to take on, or maybe you have been taking on your daily ritual according to where the moon is, and now you're like, oh, now I get it, because I was tending to the moon, but the moon was harshly aspected, so I also have to look at how the moon is aspected. So I can tend to that, but the ways that I tend to that depends on what aspect is the moon making. If you're just beginning astrology, perhaps in the new moon you decided to, in the new moon in Capricorn, you decided to, I don't know, fix and tend to everything that's related to what the moon is today. And you've been trying to do that when the moon was in Gemini, and you're like, but I'm frustrated, I'm angry, nothing works. No matter how much I clean, this house, but still it is like, yes, of course. Because the moon was crossing a sign where Mars was retrograde, and the ruler of the Mars, that was also retrograde. And now the moon is in Cancer, so you have to also understand what's happening with the sign that the moon crosses, okay? And arrange your daily routine accordingly. Or thinking, oh, but I planted with the new moon. Why didn't my crops, like, they're growing, but they're going to grow slowly, and you better plant the crops to take time to grow. because this is Saturn. Saturn takes time and so on and so forth. Um, or maybe that was missing. That was missing. Oh, I watered them too much. Oh, I didn't water them enough. Okay, that is another thing you could be discovering. With Uranus in your first house, so the resolution for things is going to be unusual. And you're reflecting on that. Right now, Uranus retrograde, you're reflecting on that. Maybe something you change about your body habits, the way you do workout, your life path. Okay, it can be some small changes that you tend to, or big changes. With Uranus, there's quite a bit for you if you're ascendant Taurus. Um, Especially if you're anywhere in the middle phase, middle decan of Taurus, between 10 to 20 degrees of Taurus, then depending on how you do the phases and decans and so. So you could especially be experiencing the chaotic effect of things. But this lunation is okay for you. Like it's a happy lunation. Okay, it is a happy lunation. There's the Mercury thing. If you are one of the people for whom Mercury got to be associated with some dark aspect, a missing child, I don't know. Yes, that exists in the world. But you could actually find out what happened. But all in all, if the Mercury retrograde is not that much of a, it could actually be resolving something, okay? Something that kept you, some bureaucratic thing that kept you going. You now discover, oh, what is missing? What's the missing thing? What do I actually need in all that? Maybe I've been going the wrong way, and so on and so forth. Ascendant Gemini. So, Ascendant Gemini, this is happening in your second and eighth house, with the moon in your second. And the eighth house. So, second, my values, my skills, how I make my money, how I spend my money. So, the money you make from your own skills, not wealth that is generated from the generations. You discover some ability, or you're harvesting. Okay, you're harvesting your abilities. You're harvesting also what you did 6 months ago. Okay, this is also important. What happened 6 months ago? So 6 January, that would be, what is 6 months ago? It was 6 May? Is that 6 May? May, January. Okay, May. So that would be June, July, August, September, October, November, December. No. So that would be June. What? I just need 6 months. I'm trying to count during a Mercury retrograde. Bear with me. So January, 1 month before that was December, November, October, September, August, July. Okay, so 6th July. Yeah. 6th July, 6th June probably. Yeah, 6th July. Yeah, 6th July. 6th July. What happened? What started? Because now you're harvesting that. So you might have launched a business, launched a product, started a new job that you do with your own skills, or started to apply a certain skill. Now you're harvesting. Something good came out of it. But at the same time that something good came out of it, you might be saying, oh, I want to invest that money now. And you realize what's missing. Okay? What's missing? Oh, I made some good money from my own, I generated myself some wealth. I want to invest that wealth. And now what's missing? Okay? Or maybe I want to invest that wealth, and Uranus is in your 11th. So you could say, I don't know, I want to invest that wealth in a social project. And they say, well, you're going to need a loan and you don't have enough credit score because you've been saving cash and you've been responsible with your money and you did not take loans because you did not enter debts, and so we cannot afford you a loan. So and so and so. So you find out what's missing. What's missing? You've been responsible. You've been responsible. That means you've used your cash correctly. You did not use, credit cards for what you do. You did not use credit card. You had credit cards. You had some credit, but you did not use credit cards, so you have no credit score. So you have money. All you have is money. It's like, but it's not enough. You need a loan to get to do what you do. And then you find out that because you've been responsible with your money, then, oh, this is actually opposite to what the bank, okay, Saturn, Capricorn, wants, 8th house. And so, oh, you have been responsible with your money, but you have not been responsible in returning us money. It's like, oh, but I've been responsible with my money, so I never needed your loans. Yeah, but now you want one, and we don't know how you behave with returning loans. Okay, we have never seen you do that. It's like, well, isn't the fact that you've never seen me do that an asset in my credit score? And then they're like, oh, we're gonna have to rethink that. Okay, so they rethink that, but then some crowdfunding comes up, 11th house, Uranus, crowdfunding campaign comes up, and there's like, oh, but we can actually help you to get the money funded by crowdfunding, and so you won't need the bank. And so the bank goes like, oh, damn, we lost all these people that didn't know about the credit score, and they were generating wealth for themselves that we're missing because they're going to be putting in other places, and they're not going to take loans from us in return, so we're not going to get their interest. Like they're not investing, and when they want to invest, they're like, they don't adhere to credit score rules. So there's a whole new sector of people that we've not been applying to, that we've not been serving. There's a whole new sector of banks that is willing to get that piece of the cake, and offer more attractive interests and offer more attractive loans, or offer more attractive credit details, or in general, offer more attractive returns for your savings. So that's another thing, like contracts, agreements, what you need, so on and so forth. People rethinking stuff. We've been Gemini, now Cancer. Cancer. Moon is in your first house, especially if you're the middle decan of Cancer, Cancer ascendant. A sense of self-discovery, something about the body. If you've been starting fitness routine 6 months ago, you might be reaping the benefits. The 7th is where you have the Mercury retrograde, where the sun is, okay, what you oppose, what that discovery opposes. And there can be, it can be that you discover something missing in a contract that you have with another party. And it can be a business partner, it can be a married partner, any of your contractual, significant one-on-one contractual relationships. You can be the one who discovers, because the full moon is in your house, in your first house. You could be the one who discovers what is missing, okay? What details are missing, what contract is missing. Oh, we needed that and that report. Okay, maybe you're planning on a purchase together. Okay, if you want to buy land, if you want to buy a house or something with agriculture, you plan on a purchase, and so you might be the one who is discovering that you need that and that report. Okay, it's just that report missing, and then we can do it. Okay, but then to get that report, you understand what's missing, what you can do, and now you can apply. Or maybe you've even been working with a lawyer, and like the lawyer doesn't find something, they're just trying to see something, doesn't find something, but you're the one who's discovering that, which can happen. Again, if you've been trying to have children with your partner, you might have been doing things that contribute to your fertility. Now you may find a missing ingredient. Okay, but Mercury retrograde, how do I have this child? Or yeah, Mercury, Saturn. So it can be assets that you plan to buy on. So the assets will be the 8th, but the plan, okay, what you plan on is, committed partnership, the agreements between you, that's going to be the 7th. And the partner that you do that with is going to be the 7th. Taurus is in your 11th house. So there's some help. So the help can be crowdfunding, associates and colleagues that are thinking through together with you. Neptune is nice to have. Yes, you have Neptune in your ninth house, so some nice inspiration. Um, so maybe you and your partner think to travel somewhere, and yeah, but with the Taurus in the 11th, um, there can be assistance from colleagues, assistance from friends to achieve what you wanted to achieve. Um, or you might be planning a project, like a business project with your partner, but just some documents or legal things missing, legal improvements missing. Now you find out what it is. Or the people that you've been planning to do that with, okay, the 11th house, they might be helping you to discover what's missing. But with the ascendant Cancer, it is probably you that, or with the assistance of the 11th house, you might discover what's missing. Um, but you're definitely harvesting. Okay, this full moon for you, Cancers, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant, you are definitely harvesting you, because this, especially Ascendant, the Ascendant means this is you. Lilith is in the 29 degrees of Cancer right now. Um, the lunation is, again, if you're in the middle decan, but still, ascendant Cancer, it's very likely that you started something with that, 6 months ago, and now you're harvesting. Like you're seeing the results, and to judge this new moon, it seems that the results are very much satisfactory. Um, you do need these extra documents, but it can be that you need these extra documents because what you planned got bigger, and that I really need to know, where is your natal moon, because that tells me a lot about the type of project that you've been doing or the type of life course that you've been taking. um, but that's definitely something you've been doing um, alongside, okay, for alongside, or something you have been doing and now you reap the effects and your partner has to adjust. It can even be, if you gained wealth, maybe you bought yourself a house. Okay, maybe you bought yourself a house and you need to write it. Maybe you want to write it with your partner, maybe you don't want to write it with your partner, but it's something that you've been doing all in all that's been gathering, or you got fit, or you change your eating habits, but it's very likely something to do with your life path, like what you came here to do. Not necessarily what you came here to do. Well, it's more like what you came here to experience than what you came to do for the world. Sometimes they're related. The MC is more what you're known for, your legacy. Um, but the ascendant is more what you came to experience in the world, what you're bringing to the table. But then that depends on where your natal moon is. Ascendant Leo. So the lunation is in your 12th house. Moon is in your 12th house. And the sun with Mercury and Pluto is in your 6th house. So Lilith is about to enter your first house. She's been in the 29 degrees of your 12th house. I'm sure this has been giving you some rough times or maybe rough dreams. Um, the moon, uh, the moon in your 12th, you may discover an open enemy that a hidden enemy that you have. You may discover, or the way that hidden factors have been affecting your health. You may discover, or you may reap the effects of certain things you did to protect your aura. Okay, maybe you did something to protect you. Maybe you've had nightmares and you did something to protect that, and now you've been harvesting that. Okay, your energy is clear, something is clear. You set an intention in your dreams and you get a solution in your dreams. And you might dream about that, missing diagnosis that you have, or a missing pet. You could find a missing pet as well, or something to do with technology. You might have in your dream, you might discover something regarding to your sixth house. Maybe some changes to do with work, or the changing the rules and regulation at work. And you have a dream, you have a premonition, basically. Uranus is in your 10th house. So yes, you could definitely be having a premonition. About it can be more about some bureaucratic thing that is missing. You dream of something missing and then you find out that it's missing. It can be something as simple as that. But if you have been, it's something you've started. So maybe you started to do dream work, and now you came and in your dream you said, you had a premonition, and then you come to work and you tell your boss, oh, I had this premonition about this document missing, that document missing. They're like, oh, that's freaking cool, how did you have that? Like, well, 6 months ago I started doing dream journaling, and then that came up in the dreams, like, oh yeah, really? And I was like, yeah, I can teach you how to do that. Like, oh, and then the boss says, you know what, why don't you teach everybody? It's like, yeah, I'll give you some budget and you can teach everybody how to do that. Now you get yourself some hidden form, like something hidden gave you an ability to make money, or get a bit of a raise, because you just are harvesting something that you did for your 12th house. So you got rid of those hidden enemies, and now you're getting promoted in an unusual way, okay, in a dream way. Ascendant Virgo. Oh, I forgot to say, for Ascendant Leo, 12th house is also, you might have a retreat, a hotel vacation, secret bed pleasures, be in hotels and so on and so forth. And then, during that might think about something that's missing at work. But this is a full moon, okay? You might discover something like that. It can be some funny moment. All in all, it's supposed to be a good lunation depending on how it aspects your chart. Virgo. Virgo, this is happening in your 11th house, so 11th, 5th. 11th is where the moon is. You might be harvesting a creative project. You might be coming, some creative project that you started or launched might be coming to fruition. So you might be harvesting the cash. Or if you have your midheaven in your 11th, maybe the reputations, maybe you got collaborated with some artist. Okay, because that is, yeah, you might have been collaborating with some artist, and now, or for an artistic project, and now you see the results. Now, let's say the single is out or was out, and let's say it's been playing on Spotify for 6 months, and now you reap the benefits. Like, oh, you get your first paycheck from that. And that can also be, so this is 11, 10, 9. You get your paycheck. Now you can fund yourself a vacation. Okay. Or you get a vacation. It's like, oh, we signed you on your first tour. So you've been recording, maybe you've been recording for 6 months, recording, then at some point released your album, and now they're like, oh, you've been booked for, like, I don't know, Japan. But if you're not Beyonce, then that can also mean research you've been doing, conference stuff, related stuff, project you've been doing, crowdfunding campaign. Maybe you now become the spokesman, and now they want you to teach some people abroad how to do it. So they send you over. With the Neptune trine, it could be something artistic. that helped you along the way, or maybe you got analogies from songs, or maybe if you presented I don't know, a research about the phases of the moon, and you decided to put that there is a great Uranian astrologer that does that. He started doing scanning of songs, pop songs, and now he had a separate channel for that, where he just does pop songs in relation to astrology. Okay, so it can be something like that, some artistic project, or using art to portray what you want to portray, or if you're activist, you might be using pop culture, might be using art, and you might be reaping benefits, or it can be a good time to reap your benefit, to get the reward, to get acknowledged. I wouldn't say it's a time to launch, because this is the full moon, okay? Unless you're launching a campaign to get rid of debt, then I don't know what to do with that, okay? So fifth house is where the Mercury retrograde is. Communication, agreements, okay? Maybe your campaign, the campaign you did in the 11th was it overflowed and it went viral, and now you realize that, oh, you, for that and that income, you do need to arrange so and so with your manager. Or you might be having to reconsider like your communication with children. Maybe you have to travel abroad. Or there's a gamble that you've been taking, or you're thinking about gambling. Yeah, like very likely it can be either you find out what's missing in communication with your children, or the communication with your children is a bit weird at the time, or there's certain contracts. Maybe you need to travel abroad, okay, for a conference, but right now you want to travel to this country, but there are certain things you need to do regarding to your children, and now you find out what they are. Okay, you were thinking about it, or some sudden a trip arrives, and you now find out what they are, or something like that. Or agreements to do with where you need to go. Again, fifth house, okay, could be leisure. Maybe you have a contract that you're supposed to go to this conference, and you're like, oh, there's this workshop, or there's this show I really want to see, or there's this ecological garden that I really want to visit. And now they're like, oh, then we'll need to find out how do we approve that, how do we this, how we find another budget for you for that day that you're not going to be showing up, all the time. And then now they're like, okay, we need to talk to so and so. Ascendant Libra. For ascendant Libra, this is happening in your 10th and 4th house, with Uranus being in your 8th. So, 10th house. It can either be you got a promotion. Okay, you were working for 6 months to get to where you are right now. And now, maybe you want to move to a bigger house, but you need some arrangements, okay, some contractual arrangements. Perhaps you got promoted at work and you need to move. Okay, you need to move. Or maybe you got promoted at work and you want to buy a house, you want to buy land. And there are missing things there's some missing report that you need to file. It's like you got promoted, okay? Or or you discover something about your boss, but it's very likely that it's like if you've done the work 6 months ago, you could be getting promoted. And especially so because there's a change also to your 8th house. There is a change to your investment portfolio. So you could be buying a house, and there's just some things that will need to be redone with Mercury there. You could be buying a house, or you might thinking about buying a house abroad when Saturn turns direct. But now you finally got your promotion, you finally got the money to invest, something like that. You can be buying your own land with this one. Okay, you can invest. You could be depending on how it's ruled. You could be investing in your own land. Whereas Venus entered Aquarius, that would be your 11th house. Well, investing, exactly. Investing either in agriculture or building like an academia. You got that, but you need to have certificates or something like that. If you're one of these business that becomes an academic, a college like your own academia, then you need to have to adhere to certain rules and regulations. Maybe something changes. Maybe you own the business, and now you got a certain promotion, and you need to change. Like there's some things that you need to do bureaucratically, and you find out now what they are, so that you can be declared. Maybe a corporation. Maybe you might be going from LLB to corporation. Licensed, yeah, but I don't know how it works abroad. Or you're running something bigger and you have to move. But here you might be buying a home because it's the 8th house. You're investing in something. It's not just you're moving, you're investing in very likely in land. So again, or buying some business that are to do with Taurus. I don't believe that to be digital investments, and Taurus is very traditional, so I believe that to be land. So yeah, good for you. Hey, good for you. And yes, was Neptune is in your. So this is 4th, 5th, 6th. Am I correct? Oh, so Neptune, sorry, Saturn is in your 5th house. Sorry, Saturn in your 5th house. Neptune in your 6th, so you might be getting inspiration at work, or maybe you hire certain artists, so to something like that. Maybe you hire artists, or you are an artist and you become to own the business or something like that. Good news, again, depending on how it aspects in your chart. Yeah. Ascendant Scorpio we did, so I think we're done. Yes, we're done. So, good lunation. There is that thing with Mercury. It's a good one to look at even now when the moon is not yet in Cancer and everybody feels the crazy effect of the moon being Mars ruled, with Mercury retrograde and Mars stationing. That is an exclamation, like it stations with an exclamation mark of its ruler planet being retrograde and invisible, or about to go invisible. Okay, that's that. Happy full moon in Cancer. And if you wonder about how to contact me, then I am Shirley Amblad on Instagram. These are the messages that I usually do see. Tali share as well on Instagram, on Twitter. So yeah, and I do have some of my other channels. That's Jupiter Rising Shirley and Shirley Talia Real Dreamer. So those are available. You can let me in the comments below. So this is a full moon. Full moon is a culmination. You can write in the comments below, what have you been doing in the past 6 months? What do you believe is culminating for you? If you go back to this video, then you can write in the comments below, how was this full moon? What did you reap? Okay, what did you reap? What did you harvest? And I'll see you in my next episode. Bye-bye. Oh, subscribe to my channel. I do have a Patreon page where you can feed me. Yeah, that's good to go.